Ladies and gentlemen and whatever else, Andy here. I was fucking depressed or whatever, and now I'm not depressed. Whatever. You guys know the intro by now. Let's jump straight into the topic. So, I am going to tell you a little secret. And it's not really a secret because I say it in literally fucking every video. I am not a hardcore ass kicking man of action who just gets out there and crushes his goals and dominates and takes a ton of action and all of that. That's just not really me. I'm often full of doubt, particularly when I have a new goal. I'm often full of insecurity. I'm not someone that has a ton of willpower. I'm just not a motivated individual. I'm definitely not super disciplined. I have a propensity to just be a very, I won't say the word lazy because that comes with a lot of judgment, but like I'm in my element when I'm just doing nothing. Like if you said to me, what do you want to do? A lot of the time it's like, I just kind of want to lay around on the couch and do not much of very much of anything. That was a hard sentence to say. And so a big part of how I've achieved all of my goals has been baby steps and finding like the bare minimum action that I can take, like some little baby step that I can take so that I move a little bit closer towards my goals. So Another thing that's helped, another thing that's helped with that, I'm really tired in case you can't fucking tell. Another thing that's really helped is reframing things to be much simpler and less overwhelming and less scary. In other words, breaking things down into their baby steps. You hear me talk about this all the time, right? Like if I set a goal, let's say I have a goal of like, I don't know, I want to make $30,000 this month. That might intimidate me. I might get very intimidated by that and I might sit around going, well, I can't do anything. I'm not going to take any action because that's too scary. Okay. I will then break that down and say, okay, what if I just make the next $5,000? Like, how do I do that? And if that's even too scary, okay, what if I just do a little bit more content and mention the coaching? Like, I will break things down into the smallest possible or the easiest step that I could take that doesn't scare me and doesn't overwhelm me and doesn't freak me out. Otherwise, I just won't take any action. Again, I'm not this like ass kicking guy who can just go and climb Mount Everest in one fell jump, one fell swoop. No, I need baby steps. Otherwise, I won't do anything. And a hell of a lot of you are exactly like that. Understand that most people, the vast majority of human beings, are not ultra disciplined, ultra hardcore, amazing, legendary, ass kicking human beings. Now, you might see a lot of those kind of people, as in the people who can just dominate their goals and take a ton of action. You might see a lot of those people if you're on YouTube, if you're on Instagram, if you're on Twitter, if you're on any sort of social media platform, if you read self help books. A lot of those people are the people who climb to the very top and will sort of speak from that place. You know, the David Goggins of the world, the Jocko Willinks of the world, the people who clearly just are very good at like forcing themselves or just shoving themselves towards action. But for a lot of you, I would even contend most of you, you're not like that. You're not that person. You can be that person in some moments. You can push yourself, you can get fired up, you can be motivated. But what happens? Motivation is fleeting. Motivation just disappears after a couple of weeks or months or sometimes years, but usually motivation fades after a couple of fucking weeks. And then you beat yourself up because you're not taking action and you go, why can't I be this like David Goggins person 24/7? I'm here to tell you David Goggins is not David Goggins 24/7. But you definitely aren't if you haven't spent a lot of years building up to that level of being able to take consistent action. And so many of you will sort of be getting really overwhelmed and intimidated by your goals because you have big, beautiful goals that kind of scare you. And that's amazing. That's beautiful. But you get really overwhelmed by that, just like I do. And so the thing that's really helped me the most is, like I said, reframing things to be either easier baby steps that I can take in the interim to like work up to that big goal that I'm trying to achieve, or just literally reframing things, like literally just using different language when I talk about my goals. And probably the best example of this, I'll give you two examples of this, but we'll start with the title of this video, which is cold approaching or hitting on women or day game or night game or any of these words that people use. And when I use those words, like if I say I'm going out to cold approach women or I'm going to run game on women, that stuff, first of all, that's not how I'd ever talk. You're not running game on someone. You're talking to another human being. Anyway, that's separate. But using those kind of words like cold approach, game, or in business, you know, words like sales, I don't do sales calls with people. I don't do sales because if I use those words, I get very intimidated. Like it literally feels like this entire world that I have to learn. I have to learn game. I have to learn cold approach. I have to learn sales. I have to learn this whole like jargon and this whole like set of skills that just overwhelms me and intimidates me. And I feel like I'm not going to get any results until I learn game or until I improve my game or until I improve how to cold approach women. And so many of you talk like that. I have so many people that come to me and they're like, man, I thought for the last like 2 years that I had to like improve my game. And basically what I guess I am offering, or what this community is offering, is a chance to sort of just sidestep all of that and reframe it and realize that this isn't, or this doesn't have to be cold approach or game or sales or any of those words that might scare you. This can just be you talking to other human beings, because that's all this is. Talking to women or hitting on women is just talking to other human beings. You're literally just walking up to someone that you don't know. You're saying hi. You may be giving a compliment. I think you're pretty. I think you're hot. You're sexy. You're cute. Whatever you want to say. You're very attractive. I thought you were interesting. I wanted to come say hi. Give a compliment. Talk for a little bit. Yo, I'm having fun. Do you want to grab a drink with me sometime? Do you want to grab a coffee? What's your number? That's it. You're just talking to another human being. And when I was able to reframe it in that way for myself and just talk about it like I'm going up to women and I'm just saying hi, I'm just saying hi to people. Oh my God, all of a sudden I started approaching fucking 10 times as many women. I started having more fun. I no longer saw them as the other, like this weird thing that I'm running game on, as if she's not even a human being. She's like the other, or she's like my target or something weird. No, I'm just talking to a human being. The same thing in sales. When I was able to stop even thinking of it like sales and stop pushing sales and stop, needing sales techniques and closing and this and that and all of that bullshit, when I was able to just see there's another human being that's sitting in front of me, and they want help, and we're here to see if I can offer that help and if they would be a good fit for my program and I would be a good fit for them. That's it. That's all that's happening. Just two people talking, seeing if they want to do business together. When I started thinking like that, I started becoming a hell of a lot less neurotic and like overthinking on those calls. Ironically, more people ended up signing up and giving me money and me then changing their life when I dropped the whole concept, or when I reframed the concept to go from sales to just, I'm just talking to someone to see if they want to work with me or see if I can help them. And so the same thing, we'll bring it back to this topic, the same thing with women. I had this big discussion recently in the coaching group, and this is something that happens a lot in the coaching, where we had this big discussion where a guy was like putting all this pressure on himself and saying, I got to out there and cold approach, I got to build up the motivation to cold approach. You guys don't understand how many people come to me. Literally, I've had 2 conversations about this week with people. They come to me, wanting to sign up for the coaching program, and they have inserted an extra step and they don't even realize they're doing it. And a lot of you will be doing the same thing, but you don't even realize you're doing it. And that extra step is, I need to learn how to be confident, or I need to get good at approaching. And I always say the exact same thing to everybody. Why do you have to get good at this? And how would you get good at this? And then they sit there and they think for a bit and they go, well, I guess the way that I'd get good at this, or the way that I would be, have great game, or the way that I would become confident is by doing it a lot, like everything in life. And then I say, yeah. So does confidence come first, or does action come first? How would you even be confident at something that you haven't done a lot of? You literally need to do it to become decent at it. And when it clicks in their mind, and for some of you, it might be clicking in your mind now, or you might have already recently realized this, but when you realize that confidence is something that comes after you've taken a lot of action, and the way that you would get good at like cold approach or hitting on women or talking to women is by doing it a lot, when that really clicks in your head, you realize that this extra step that you've inserted of, I need to build confidence, or I need to get over my approach anxiety, I need to defeat my approach anxiety, is just a procrastination that you've inserted, or it's a false misstep. It's a false step that you inserted that you thought you had to do first. And it's like, no, you're putting the cart before the horse, or the chicken before the egg. Confidence comes after, so taking action comes first. And the easiest way that I've ever found to do that with myself and with all of my coaching clients is to just call it talking to women or saying hi to girls. I'm just going to go out there with my friend or by myself. We're just going to say hi to some girls. We're just going to say hello to some women. We're just going to chat to some women. Any of these sort of framings make it so much less intimidating because now there's no jargon, there's no extra step, there's no fucking language or lingo that you need to learn. You don't need to get good with game. You don't need to become a fucking pickup god. You don't need to do any of these extra steps. No, you just go outside and talk to women. Just go outside and talk to girls. And yes, you might be nervous. Yes, it might be a little bit scary, but it's so much less scary to think, I'm going to go say hi to that woman over there. That is so much less scary than, oh God, I got to approach her. I got to learn my game. I got to remember what to do. I got to do a good job. Because at the end of the day, women are just human beings. You're literally just saying hello to another human being. You know, I did this article or this podcast a while ago that has kind of a funny title, but it was a big mindset shift for me. And the podcast is called Women Are Just Humans with a Pussy. And it sounds funny, sounds crass, but that was literally a big realization for me. Because before that, I was seeing them as the other, or as this thing that I needed to like hit on, almost like this weird fucking entity that wasn't quite human. And I knew women were human, you know, I didn't dehumanize them, but it's like you get in this mindset of like, they're the other. Like I have to learn how women work. I have to hit on them. I have to do all this stuff. And it's like, it's just a human being. Go say hello. Like it's really not that complicated. And I think I make this pretty clear in my content, but maybe it doesn't fully come across to some of you. A lot of your goals, a lot of our goals are really not that complicated. They're not. We overcomplicate them and we shy away from the simple solution. You know, if I say to you, just go say hi to some women today, just literally go say hi to them and see if they want to get a drink with you. I say that, and for so many of you, that seems so unbelievably oversimplified that you almost dismiss it. Your brain, your ego dismisses it and goes, oh, that's no, I need the proper 400-page manual of how to go and hit on a woman. I need to know what to say. I need to know what body language to have. I need to know what to dress, like how to dress. I need to know what to say if she says this. But what if she says this? What do I say? But how do I ask for her phone number? What do I talk about? If we then go on a date, what do I do? And you're looking for this like 500-page manual because you're scared, and that's reasonable. You know, when we're scared, we want reassurance, we want a plan, we want to know what to do, what the actionable steps are. But when you're experienced with these things, when you've hit on a lot of women, when you've had a lot of sex, when you've made a lot of money, when you've, you know, made progress with a lot of these goals, you come to see that it's really not that complicated. And literally every goal is like that. They really are. When you get to the point of success, when you get to the point of having had that success for quite a while, you know, and confidence and experience comes with that, you get to a point where you realize, fuck, this really wasn't that complicated. I was just overcomplicating it, or I was thinking that it was complicated. And so many of the pieces of advice that people gave to me, I dismissed because I was like, no, that's too simple. Like, you know, that's clumsy. I'm not going to listen to that. You know, how many times, I can't tell you how many times I've heard like essentially the meaning of life said by spiritual teachers, you know, ancient Christian mystics, you know, Buddhists, fucking the Dalai Lama, Mother Teresa, you know, all the people that I like Byron Katie, David Hawkins, all of that. I've heard them say something that I could take and just go, holy shit, if I did that for the rest of my life, that would be the most meaningful life I could ever live. I hear them say those things, and yet most people dismiss it because they go, that's too simple. That can't be the answer. Probably the best example of this is when Mother Teresa won the Nobel Peace Prize. Somebody asked her, a journalist asked her, how can I be more like you? How can I change the world, Mother Teresa, like you have? And she said, go home and love your family. That sounds like the most simple advice ever, to the point where you're like, oh, you silly bitch, that's terrible advice. Go home and love my family. That won't change the world. It's like, if you fucking understand everything that she did to get to the point that she got to, it literally started with one simple act of love and loving one person that was right in front of her. If you go and read all of her books, which I've read all of her books are fucking amazing, by the way. If you go and read all of her books, you'll see that the way that she got to where she was literally loving one person at a time, just holding the hand of one homeless person, just being with one person, just helping or teaching one person at a time. And building that up to the point where she got to, where, yeah, she wins the Nobel Peace Prize. She changes millions of fucking lives. She's like known across the world as like a saint and a loving person and all of that kind of stuff. But that happens step by step, little bit by little bit. And yet that seems so simple, doesn't it? Go home and love your family. That sounds too simple. It sounds like it can't be the meaning of life. It's not the meaning of life, but it sounds like it can't be a meaningful way to live your life. It sounds silly. How am I going to change the world if I just love one person. Another really good example of this is Jordan Peterson. And what Jordan Peterson says a lot is make your bed. Literally, when you get up in the morning, make your fucking bed. Make your bed nice and clean. And that's how you live a beautiful life. And you'd hear that and go like, make my bed. What are you, fucking retarded? No, like there's wars in the world that I need to go and end. I need to go and be a political activist, or I have to go and meet a lot of women, have a lot of sex. I have to make a ton of money. I have to have a big impact on the world. I have to fucking be a good father. Any of those things. I don't have time to make my bed. And as he points out, if you don't have time to make your bed, which is the smallest, simplest act that you can do when you first wake up in the morning, how the fuck are you ever going to have a big impact on the world? You can't make your bed, and yet I'm supposed to respect you as a father or listen to what you have to say about like political events or the world or other people or how they should live their life, and you can't make your own bed? In other words, get your own affairs in order before you tell other people how to run their life. And, very similar to the quote from the Bible, Jesus, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. Very similar to that. If you don't have your own house in order, how the fuck are you going to have an impact on the rest of the world? Start by making your bed. And so these little bits of advice, and I could list out 1,000 other pieces of advice. I have given so many of you little pieces of advice that you could just build a beautiful life with from that one statement that I said. Here's the biggest and probably the most pertinent one I've ever said. Give yourself permission to suck. If you fully embrace that the way that I have and a lot of my clients have and Imogen and tons of my friends, holy shit, that is the recipe for a meaningful life. If you can just stop the judgment and stop the pressure that you put on yourself to be some ass-kicking perfect warrior and instead just be you with all of your flaws, all of your insecurities, your doubts, and allow yourself the space to make some mistakes. And I don't believe there are mistakes, but make some mistakes. Fumble a little bit, not know what you're doing, and just keep going. If you can just give yourself permission to suck, that is a recipe for the most amazing life that you could ever imagine. And yet it seems so simple, doesn't it? It seems almost like a throwaway line when I say it, doesn't it? Give yourself permission to suck. Yeah, I know. And I hear that sometimes. People will say, yeah, I know, you're right. And it's like, it's not about me being right. Every time you say, yeah, I know, yeah, you're right, you're literally casting it aside. And do that if you want to. You don't have to take my advice. But the point is, there are so many little gold nuggets of advice that we hear from people all the time. Usually people who've achieved the thing that we want to achieve as well. So it's like they are literally in the position, the best position to give us advice because they've walked the walk. They've talked the talk. They're in that beautiful position that we want to get to. They'll give us the little gold nugget of wisdom that you could literally build an entire beautiful life around. And yet we ignore it because we're like, that's too simple. I need the 400-page essay on how to live my life. That's part of why I wrote the Tinder guide to be as long as it is. It's 130,000 words long, which is like the length of 4 books, because people won't listen to me a lot of the time if I just give a simple little bit of advice. Here's my Tinder guide. Ready? Do you want the entire Tinder guide summed up into a condensed version? Look decent, take decent pictures, go talk to a lot of women. Do you want the cold approach guide of how to go outside and talk to women? Slowly improve your looks over time, and in the meantime, just go outside and talk to as many women as you can and ask for a phone number. That's it. Do you want the recipe for how to build a business to get to the point where I've gotten to? Give as much value as you possibly can to other people. Spend all of your time doing that. And then after you've done a lot of that, just start asking for some money and slowly raise your price over time. There you go. Fucking simple, isn't it? I can distill that down even further. How do you build a business? How do you build literally any business that has ever been built since the dawn of time? Give value. That's it. Give something that people will pay for. Give value. That could be a service, that could be a product, that could be something you do for people, which is a service, It could be an entertainment, which is a product or a service. But give a product or a service that gives people value. That's it. That's it. And all of this stuff is unbelievably simple, and yet we overcomplicate it. And in overcomplicating it, we often don't take action because we overcomplicate it to the point where we stress ourselves out, especially like I'm saying with approaching. If you just reframe it and do this or don't do this, at the end of the day, it's your life. But when I was able to just reframe it and say, I'm just going out to say hi to women, I'm just going to talk to some girls. Oh my God, all of a sudden I talk to 10 times as many women because it's not scary anymore. It doesn't require me to learn anything or grow or do any of this shit. It's just walking up to human beings and saying, hi, here's a compliment. Here's some conversation for a minute or two. Can I get your phone number? Yes or no? That's the answer. Done. Talk to the next person. Again, the same with business. When I stopped seeing it as sales or stopped seeing it as I have to do marketing and all of this shit that just overwhelmed me, and I have to learn all of these metrics and fucking learn all of these like closing call fucking techniques and objection handling and this and that, and I got to do this and this and this, and I got to say this technique and do this. Like I was just so in my own head that I wasn't actually there for the other person. I wasn't actually listening to the person, that the human being that was on the other side of the camera with me. I was just in my own head thinking of all these techniques. The same thing happens with approaching. You know, I see guys that are just so in their own head thinking, what do I say if she says this? But what if she says this? But what if she has a boyfriend? But what if she's a lesbian? But what if she's sad today? But what if this? But what if she doesn't really give me a good answer to my question? Well, should I ask about this? But what if she doesn't want to talk about that? And they'll do the same on dates. They'll do the same during sex, you know. I'm back on my couch and she's sitting on my couch next to me. What do I say? How do I kiss her? Like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I say? What if she doesn't want to kiss? What about this? What about this? And at the end of the day, you're just talking to another human being. You can literally just use your words. You know, if you want to know, like, what technique do I use to fucking kiss her? You literally can just say, can I kiss you? Boring as fuck. Simple as fuck. It's not some smooth, crazy Casanova technique, but guess what? It works. It's not even about working. You're just saying to another human being, do you want to kiss me? Do you want to do this thing that I want to do? They say yes, and you go, oh, does that mean we can do it? And then she says, yeah, and then you're doing it. It's really not that complicated, but we insert all of these extra barriers. You know, I went through this with the BDSM stuff when I first got into BDSM, when I first started screening for it, you know, and looking for people that were into BDSM, which, you know, I've talked about this before, but I'll show it on the screen again. This is my current Hinge profile. And so you can see it's very like BDSM focused. Look at the first picture. There's like literally a woman in handcuffs. Black and white photo, BDSM. Look at the third picture, you know, the top right picture. That's Imogen and I. And Imogen's wearing a blindfold. She's looking very sexy. I'm looking very masculine. You know, down the bottom right, the sixth picture, the last picture, is Imogen in a bikini looking very sexy. And then if you look at the written prompts, unusual skills. I'm in an open relationship. We're both into BDSM and we're both very good at teaching. You know, the way to win me over is don't be afraid to say, hey, I'll take care of the rest. So very BDSM focused, very like direct and obvious. I'm literally saying, this is what I'm offering. Would you like to be a part of this? But when I first started this stuff, you know, I was very in my own head and I thought like, how can I tell people that I am into BDSM? How can I ask if they are? How can I see if they want to explore this with me? And I thought I had to do all these fucking techniques and just like not bringing it up until like the first or the second date. And it just felt fucking weird. And so I was like, I don't want to do this. What if I'm just honest? What if I just say, this is what I'm looking for? Are you looking for this too? And you can just break the fourth wall and be that direct or be that simple. And simple is probably the right word. And so especially with talking to other human beings, to hitting on women, instead of calling it game or cold approach. And if you want to do that, do that. You know, it's not up to me to tell you how to live your life, but I'm offering you an alternative. You don't have to call it cold approach. You don't have to learn game. You don't have to become a pickup artist. You don't have to learn all these fucking techniques. You don't have to be smooth with this shit. You don't have to like have sick game, bro, so that no women fucking reject me. No. You can literally just go up to women and say, hello, you're pretty. Can I talk to you for a minute? Oh, sure, that'd be nice. Great. What do you do for work? What did you do on the last weekend? What are your hobbies? What are you doing today? Cool, that all sounds amazing. Would you like to get a drink with me? Yes, I'd love a drink with you. Oh my God, that's amazing. Cool, what's your phone number? Boom, phone number. Hey, it was great talking to you today. I liked meeting you. I liked meeting you too. Thank you so much for talking to me. Would you like to get that drink? How's Friday at 6 p.m.? Oh my God, that sounds really good. I'd like that. Sure. Where should I meet you? Boom, you're on the date. Talk for a little bit. Hey, I'm having fun. Do you want to come back to my apartment and keep this going? Do you want to come back to my apartment and make out? Do you want to come back to my apartment and fool around and see where things lead? Oh, okay, that sounds really nice. Sure. Boom, now you're on your fucking couch. Hey, do you want to make out? Hey, I'm really fucking attracted to you. Can I kiss you? Okay. Boom, now you're having sex. Like, this stuff doesn't have to be complicated. It can be if you want it to be, and you are more than welcome. You're all adults. You are more than welcome to make this as complicated as you want to be. But I like the simple approach, and most of my clients seem to like the simple approach because when I offer them that alternative, It's like for the first time, their fucking eyes go wide open and they're like, wait, you mean this doesn't have to be complicated? I can literally just say to a woman, hi, I like you. Would you like to spend more time with me? And I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't that work? You mean I can literally just compliment a woman and tell her that I think she's pretty? And like, that's not beta behavior. That's not bad. Like, nothing bad will happen. No, try it and see. You mean I can literally just say, I want to have sex with you? And she'll say, like, yes, or she'll say no? Yeah. And when I offer people this alternative, and when I say you can just literally ask for what you want, you can just be direct, you can literally just be honest. I don't think I've met anyone yet who's like, nah, bro, I'd rather like play all the fucking games and like mess around and not know what she's thinking and like have to remember the perfect line to say and be nervous and in my own head and see her like she's the enemy almost, like I'm trying to fucking beat her with my sick game, like it's a fucking boxing match, like we're in a war together and I'm trying to win. Oh, Andy, I really want to go back to all of that. No, I haven't met anyone who says that so far. I'm sure there are people like that, and I've done articles on this. And by the way, if you are like that, if you kind of fucking love game and love thinking of the perfect thing to say and all of that, great. It's not for me to tell you what to do with your life. My content probably wouldn't resonate with you as much, so you probably wouldn't be sitting here watching. But, you know, at the end of the day, do whatever works for you, do whatever you want. But every single person that I've ever offered this alternative to, and I've said, you can just say what's on your mind. You can just be honest with the other person. They are literally just a human being. You know, someone out on the street that you're hitting on, that's just a human being. Go talk to them like a human being. And then just ask if they want to go out on a date with you and grab a drink or a coffee. When I offer that to people, my God, do they just grab it with both hands and go, holy shit, this is what I've wanted. Men and women, by the way. Like we have a woman in the coaching program right now who's been in there for quite a while. She's on her second round of coaching now. She's having that much fun with it. And so I've been coaching her I'm coaching her kind of like one-on-one. I'm coaching her one-on-one, not kind of one-on-one. I'm coaching her one-on-one. And when she first came, she had all of these things that she wanted to explore. You know, she'd been in this marriage for like 14 years. He had passed away. You know, she'd taken time to grieve and heal and all of that beautiful stuff. And she was coming to us for the first time to explore like BDSM, explore possible like open relationships, like dating more than one person at a time, all of that kind of stuff. Basically exploring herself. You know, I think she's in her 40s, and she was like, first time ever, I'm going to explore all of this stuff, because she was married young. And she had so many times when she would say to us, you know, say to me or say to the group, this is what I want to say to the guy that I'm seeing or the guy that I'm going on a date with. How do I say it? Like what is the perfect way of saying it? Or how do I get across what I'm trying to get across? And every single time we just said, what if you just say it? What if you're just honest? What if this isn't as complicated as you think it is? What if you don't need to have the perfect way of phrasing something? What if this really isn't that complicated? You're just saying words to another human being. Like think of that guy that you're on a date with as a human being and then proceed from there. And that mindset changed everything for her. So many times when she was like, how do I say this? And then we'd say, just try saying it honestly. She'd come back to us and be like, holy shit, I just said what I want. And she doesn't say holy shit. She's not someone to swear. She's very ladylike, actually. She's very classy and ladylike. But she was like, she would come back and say, I just said what I wanted and it went amazing. Wow. It's cool that you can just say what you want. And, you know, in her dating profile, she can just put exactly what she's looking for. She can put what kind of person she thinks she is and what kind of person she wants to match with. And then boom, go and find those people. Go on a date with them, sort of get to know each other, see if you're a good fit. If you are, great. Go on a second date, have some fun, do some kinky stuff, have a good time together. But she's found it so unbelievably refreshing that you're able to just directly say exactly what you want with no games, no perfect lines, none of this stuff. So all of this stuff, I've seen it transform so many men and women's dating lives when they're just direct and honest and simple. Like you're literally just simplifying. If you go down this route, and remember, you can just take baby steps with this. You don't have to you can be gentle and slow and take your time with this. But if you start going down the route of just being more honest and just saying what you want and not overcomplicating things, because I'm telling you, this shit is not complicated. When you go down that route, oh my God, just the world opens up and you realize all of the games that you thought you had to play, all of the mind tricks and techniques and tactics and all of that, it was never really necessary. And it's not that those tactics and tricks and like pickup artist stuff and game and all of that, it's not that that stuff doesn't work, so to speak. Of course it does. Like you'll meet people, but guess what? You'll meet people and have sex with them and date them without doing any of that stuff. And so that stuff works. And then not doing that stuff also works. And so at the end of the day, it's whatever you want to do that. And again, basically everyone that I've ever said this to goes, "Oh my God, you mean I don't have to play games? I don't have to be a pickup artist? I don't have, or for women, I don't have to like try and guess what this man or my man is thinking. I can just ask him." And it's like, yeah, yeah. And even that conversation, Imogen has had that conversation with so many of her female friends where they will come to her and they'll say, "I'm trying to figure out what my boyfriend wants and blah, blah, blah." And like, "Oh, why is he doing this? I can't figure out why he's doing this." And they're almost trying to get Imogen to mind read. And this is what most human beings do, by the way. They'll go to their friends and try and get their friends to help them mind read their partner or their boyfriend or their girlfriend. And Imogen will just every time say, in a gentle way, "Sweetie, why are you asking me?" Like, I can't read your boyfriend's mind. Why don't you just ask your boyfriend? And they'll say, "Oh, I can't just ask him though, because then he'll think less of me, or he'll think I'm weak, or he'll think I'm needy, or whatever." And Imogen will just keep gently, encouraging and saying, "Well, what does it matter if he thinks you're needy? What bad thing happens if he thinks you're weak?" And then they're like, "Oh, well, if he thinks I'm too weak, he might break up with me." And it's like, why would that be a bad thing? Would you really want to be with someone that doesn't want to be with you? Wouldn't it be a beautiful thing if he broke up with you and then you could go and find someone who doesn't think you're needy? Wouldn't that be great? And they eventually get to a point where they go, "You know what, Imogen, you're right." And they go to their boyfriend or their girlfriend or whatever, and they talk to their partner and say the thing that they said to Imogen. They have a conversation, and then they'll come back to Imogen and say, "Oh my God, that was the best advice you could have given me. Just talk to my partner. I was overcomplicating it. I was trying to mind read them. I was thinking I had to say it in the perfect way. I was trying to like pick my words carefully so that I said it in the best possible light or whatever. But I just clumsily said the truth to them and it went amazing. Thank you, Imogen." And so I've seen this with so many fucking people when you can just sort of drop the complications and make it a lot more simple and just be honest. And again, you can take baby steps with that. I understand that all of this can be a little scary at first. Like being this honest, being this simple, just saying what you want or saying what you mean can be scary at the start. Honesty is something that you build up to. It's something that you can improve slowly over time. You don't have to be perfect with this stuff. I'm not. I'm still not perfectly honest. I do a pretty good job, but I'm still improving, and I probably will be until the day that I die. And so take your time with this stuff. But I've just seen so many lives changed by just making this shit simple. It's really not that complicated. I know it feels complicated. It feels like there's all this game to learn. It feels like there's all these techniques to learn. You have to know what to say. You have to know how to seduce a woman, or if you're a woman, seduce a guy. You have to know how to not be too needy. You have to know how to be vulnerable, but not too vulnerable. You have to know how to do this and what to talk about and be good at small talk and be good at socializing and not be too awkward. And oh, God, so fucking complicated. So much shit to remember and be good at. No, fuck that. What if you just go on a date and give yourself permission to suck? What if you just go and talk to other human beings and see what happens? What if you have no expectations, but just curiosity? This is my favorite thing to bring out on stream, this framed picture I have that, is a quote from one of my best mates. "I have no expectations, only curiosity." And if you can embrace this mindset and take the expectation off yourself that you have to be good at talking to the opposite sex or the same sex if you're into that, if you take all this pressure off yourself that you have to be good with sales or business or friendships or good at your job or good at being a father or a mother or good at being a son or a daughter, like if you just take all these expectations away, and really we're talking about pressure, if you remove all this pressure, man, you end up performing like 10 times better anyway, but you realize it was never even about the performance. You allow yourself to actually enjoy what you're doing. You allow yourself to go and just talk to some women on the street and have fun with it and not expect them to say yes or no, not expect yourself to be good at it rather than, just being you and seeing what happens. If you take all this expectation away, this stuff actually becomes fun. And you find that you achieve 10 times more while having 10 times more fun while you're doing it. And you're actually more present and you build connections with human beings instead of being, in this fucking head all the time, trying to think of the perfect thing to say or do or, the perfect way to be. And you actually enjoy this goddamn process, because at the end of the day, why are you here? Like you can pause the video right now if you want and have a little think about that question before you answer it. But why are you here? You're probably here to have fun. You're probably here to feel good or be happy. You might give the answer, I want to be happy. If I say, what do you want, like in your life more than anything, any answer that you will give me will ultimately lead back to happiness. You might say, I want more money. Why? Well, because I want to be relaxed. Why? Because I want to be happy. Okay, so happiness. If I say to you, what do you want? You say, I want to have a lot of sex. Why? Well, because I never really got to have a lot of sex. Yeah, but why do you want sex? Because I want to enjoy it. Okay, why? Because I think enjoying it will make me happy. Okay, so happiness. Everything leads back to either happiness or fun or like, security or satisfaction or something related to happiness. And so if you realize this, if you really go deep on this and analyze everything you do in your life, you'll see that it's to maximize happiness or because you think it will bring you more happiness or you will more peace or, any of these sort of words. And so if we're here to have happiness, if we're here to find happiness, build happiness, be happiness, why not jump straight there? Why overcomplicate happiness? Why say I have to learn a bunch of pickup artist lines and game and techniques and sales techniques and be good at this and be perfect at this and fucking ace this test and be a god all the time and then I'll be happy? Why not just be happy while you do that stuff? Go out there and talk to women. I mean, learn game if you want to, if that makes you happy. Learn all the pickup artist techniques, but do it while you're having fun or put a smile on your face while you're doing those things. If you want to make a ton of money and get good at sales and all of that, beautiful, great, do that. Go do that. But have fun while you're doing it. Don't insert that extra step between you and happiness. In other words, don't say, I'll be happy when I get really good at talking to women. I'll be happy when I make a ton of money. I'll be happy when I'm perfect. I'll be happy when I'm happy all the time. Why don't you just be happy while you do those things? And the easiest way that I've ever found to be happy while I work on goals and while I achieve big things is if I simplify things, if I don't put pressure on myself and I just have no expectations and just see what happens. Life can be this beautiful big experiment, or as my coach Keith says, life can be this beautiful playground. Like life is play, life is a game, life is fun. One of my favorite quotes is from Oscar Wilde, and it is, life is too important to be taken seriously. In other words, you can have fun while you do all this shit, and simplifying absolutely helps you get there. At the end of the day, walking up to women and approaching them is really just you saying hi to people, and that is allowed to be as simple and as easy and as fun and as peaceful as you would like it to be. You do not have to suffer to reach your goals. You're allowed to have fun along this process. In fact, I insist. If you're inexperienced, maybe you're even a virgin, you've probably been sitting around trying really hard to lose it and give yourself that beautiful, amazing sex life that you've always wanted. It's time to actually do this thing for real. Here's just a little taste of some of what we've helped our inexperienced clients achieve. Theo lost his virginity, had a bunch of sex, and even participated in an orgy. Ed was a 31-year-old virgin with extreme erectile dysfunction. He's since gone on to have a wildly abundant sex life and is now a coach alongside me in our coaching program. We helped Ravi lose his virginity at age 30 and go on to build the type of amazing sex life he never dreamed was possible. Jeff hadn't had sex in 9 years and ended up having sex within just 5 weeks of coaching. No matter what your experience level, if having more sex and having more wildly abundant, awesome, amazing sexual experiences with your intimate partner is something that's important to you, let us help. That's what we're here for. There's a link in the description below to the coaching. Click that and come and join us. But I promise you, if these clients can do it, you absolutely sure as hell can too.